All right, it's the rundown. April 29th. It's a Monday here. It's your pal Clem in Winterfell. We got the Chicago boys, OG Chicago boy, and my Team ZD brother, Eddie. And of course, Chicago's newest heartthrob himself, Stephen Che, NFL draft extraordinaire, finally out of his basement and seeing sunlight again for the first time in months. And we have ourselves a chock full rundown lined up ahead. And that rundown is brought to you by High Noon. The weather is getting nicer, which means you get to get your high noons next to your pools, your lakes out there in Chicago, oceans, whatever it may be. And you can bring the Fiesta anywhere you go with the all-new High Noon Tequila Seltzer Fiesta Pack. This variety 8-pack features 2 tequila flavors, blood orange and prickly pear, alongside 2 tequila flavors, grapefruit and lime. Ed, you're the one who introduced me to the pear when we had our little trip to San Diego. And I'm not like a pear fruit guy. I am very much a pear high noon guy. It's crazy how these flavors just hit with every single flavor.
The pear is the Anthony Edwards of high noon.
I agree. I love the pear.
Just an absolute stud of a flavor.
I'm a pear seeker.
Yeah, pear's great. Pear high noon is awesome.
Pear seeker. So again, the blood orange and the prickly pear, along with two tequila favorites, grapefruit and lime, all are made with real tequila and real juice. Perfect for any fiesta. Find the High Noon Tequila Seltzer Fiesta Pack nearest you at highnoonspirits.com. High Noon, suns up. Caleb Williams, Chicago Bear. Ed, we have to start off the rundown. Obviously, NFL draft happened this weekend. We do have our junior analyst, Steven. Is that your title these days? What are you right now?
Former VP of football operations.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that one.
Yes. I was demoted from senior draft analyst, which is now Liam Blutman, who I report to and run everything by. And maybe I was junior analyst before, so I don't know if they demoted me even further. I don't know. Former VP of football operations.
There we go. So obviously the big story first night, and I mean, I guess of the entire draft, Caleb Williams going #1 to the Bears, along with can't be discounted, Rome Odunze going #9 to the Bears, to pair with DJ Moore, who looked awesome with Justin Fields last year, Keenan Allen, who I think 30% of NFL fans forgot went to the Bears because it was happening in kind of a weird spot. Obviously, Cole Kmet is an absolute freak of a pass catcher as well. Ed, how the heck are we feeling right now? Because I haven't even asked you how you're doing, and I can't wait to hear the excitement in my boy's voice, who was a little Eeyore when we were talking to you last week on the dog walk.
No, we're feeling great. We're feeling great. It's one of those things too where he's saying all the right things too.
Yeah.
Where, hey, what about number 13? He's like, no, man, 12-year vet Keenan Allen wears 13. That's his. He's texting the punter. You know what I mean? We just drafted a punter.
Yeah.
Corey was blanking on his name.
Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome to the team. He's just doing all the little things right so far. And obviously in the grand scheme of things, that stuff doesn't really matter. He's still got to go out there and play quarterback, but it's great to have that because people made such a big deal about him being weird and not being able to do those things right. So it's good to see. It's a good start.
Yeah, him texting the punter you're not going to have to work much is an awesome move. I would be very excited. I think I'm most excited for Bears fans. I've never had a specific love or hatred to the Bears, but obviously living here and then all you guys the Bears have been crappy for a long time. It's exciting to realize that you guys are going to see a different type of football than you've always seen because the Bears have been historically awful at the quarterback position. And now you got the weapons. You got, everyone Clem just mentioned, plus, Rome Odunze is awesome. So I'm excited for you guys to step into the modern day with offensive football and be jazzed about it.
Yeah.
And I got to ask you, so I was listening to the Knicks podcast. I love Knicks out of Knicks Film School, and the host was saying how Jalen Brunson is he in his top 10 most important people in his life, top 5. Where is Caleb Williams in terms of important people in your life as of this moment? Because I do feel there is a chance if Caleb doesn't hit, I think this is the first no doubter you guys have drafted, and he's maybe not the Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. It's pretty close though. And then you start being what's the point of even following the NFL if this guy doesn't hit? Where would you say he is in terms of importance in Eddie's life?
That's a great question because that team affects so much of my mood from, September through, we don't usually make it through the new year, but unfortunately, right. But it's, that Sunday, that Monday, and it sets your whole week off, to either be I'm going to trudge through this week mode or hey, we're going in a fucking Monday on a high. So, That's half the year. That's a quarter of the. He's top 5. He's got to
Top
be
five.
top 5 at this point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, when Brady was on the Bucks, he was in my top like 3, 4. Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, that you said it perfectly. Like that Sunday, I think like growing up, like especially you identified so much of your, I don't want to say like value or importance, but like so much of your self-esteem was like tied to your team, and you're a local guy, you liked your local team, so everyone was kind of in the same boat. I was in a different boat. I liked a weird team that was not local. So if my team sucked, like all my friends that were Giants fans, Jets fans, Eagles fans, whatever, let me hear it. So I think that's a big part of just like if you have a good win, the rest of your week sets up very nicely.
100% does.
Yeah, and it's like a personal and professional thing for us, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you see, like, it's a lot easier to move merch when you're fucking, 11-6 going to the playoffs, marching to the Super Bowl, TB12 method, me to Tom Brady, fucking rubbing elbows with the Bucks, or it's like 8-9, battling for a wild card. No one gives a fuck about your team, like, or in Bears and Giants case, like 4-12, 13, fighting for like top 5 picks. It's a complete game changer, personally, professionally. So I mean, Shea, I honestly think would rank no problem ranking professional athletes above family members. I think Tom Brady. I'm surprised you said top 3, not top 1. To be honest with you, Shea. Maybe that's
I
why you're not the head of football anymore here.
yeah. I think I'm being dead honest. I think if Tom Brady doesn't sign with the Bucks, I don't know if I get moved over content. That's 100% serious.
Oh yeah, you're right. Honestly, like 5 might be low for me because there are those like sliding doors moments. Like same thing. If the Bears don't have that awesome opening game, and I don't want to sleep in a force reserve because Aaron Rodgers came back in the second half, like who knows if I'm full time? Like you're right. It's probably closer to top 2
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think Portnoy is always like everyone's number 1. We need Dave just to be cooking at all times, and then family members, and then it's like our biggest
Yeah.
athletes for our biggest. I mean, I had Porzingis, right? I had Porzingis. He had the Godzingas for a year. I went to Latvia because of it. Like you either got to be really good or really bad in this business, and me and Eddie have seen like both sides of it. So I guess we'll see how it goes. It was a fucking crazy draft. We're kind of getting like, just to recap this draft in a rundown, could be its own rundown in itself. Obviously we had the NFL draft show, which was a blast. So what do we have? 6 quarterbacks in the first half of the draft, Chai? Is that the number?
6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks.
Yeah. I remember being as shocked as I was than that Michael Penix pick in the history of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Gotta be number 1, right? Number 1 most shocking moment that we've ever seen. And we've all watched a shitload of drafts.
Yeah, because like it wasn't just that he got picked like way higher than people thought. Like there were rumors that he could go like as high as 13 to the Raiders, and a lot of people were like, borderline, like first round, like maybe second rounder. But just going to the Falcons, like I was on the desk and refreshing Twitter and trying to get a scoop on who gets picked, and Big T's at the podium. And I've gotten caught the past couple of years with incorrect scoops from people that set me up or just like Twitter that like lies. So I see the Penix thing come through and I like audibly gasp. And Brandon's like, "What are you hearing? What are you hearing?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like this doesn't feel right. I mean, they just signed Kirk Cousins 4 years, $180 million a couple months ago. He hasn't even played a game with the team yet. And then Big T's up there at the podium, and Brandon's like, say what you're seeing. And I was like, I'm seeing it might be Penix to the Falcons. And we're just like, there's no way that's actually happening. And it did, which is it's great. The plan that they laid out that they'd be okay with him sitting for 4 to 5 years. Again, you have to sit because he signed him a 4-year deal. But even him sitting 2 years is I'm in favor of quarterback sitting a little bit, but 2 years is wild.
And he's about to turn 24, right? Or he's turning 24. Yeah, next month he turns 24
next
years
week.
old.
Yes.
And I like Michael Penix. I love him as a college quarterback. I don't know how good he'll be in the NFL. I like him as a guy though. But a top 10 pick, those don't come around all the time, you'd think, but granted, for some of the bad teams they do. You need to you need to hit on those.
If they made a good pick, they would probably be favored in the NFC South this year to win the division. And then you're in the playoffs, and anything can happen. Your team gets hot or whatever. Now it's very tough because they're obviously like replenishing their system. They haven't even started. So.
Yeah, but you can't let that negate they have Cousins now. Like sure, you get an impact player would help them a lot to be the favorite, but they still They're still in it. They're still in a decent spot in the interim, but it's just like you could have helped yourself even more.
They could have, yes, they could have made themselves like a Super Bowl contender. They get the right guy. Now it's like, what do they do?
And like you said, with the NFC South, you know, as someone in the we all root for NFC teams. You're like the best team in that division. Like you think, all right, they got the quarterback, they get that first round pick, they hit on that, and they can just coast to an NFC South title. No offense to the Bucks and everyone else down there. And now it just feels like they can't. And this is a team. It's kind of crazy with the Falcons. Like I know there was a lot of shit that probably wouldn't have happened. They could have had. They were one of the teams that came out was like, we don't want Lamar Jackson, and they were going to ride with Desmond Ritter, and then that goes in. Then it's like, we don't want Bill Belichick, we want Raheem Morris, who I do think could be a very good coach. Obviously,
I
Steve,
think
all
Raheem
about
Morris is
him.
a good coach. Yes.
Yes, but Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick, and there is a chance, like in 3 years, we're going to have whoever replaces Raheem Morris coaching Michael Penix, and Falcons are going to be like, what the fuck just happened? And kind of like it goes back to what I was saying with like the Bears and the Knicks and all that stuff. Like Big T could have a lot of content on his plate, and it could go one way or the other. We don't know which way. Like the GM Terry Final trying to explain it to Arthur Blank. Laugh out loud, funny video. You see him in the war room. Did you guys see the thing Rico blogged with the Twitter Spaces where the guy's just screaming "fuck"?
Yeah.
Like it's great. And again, I'm a Mets fan. I live in misery. A lot of those Falcons fans are Braves fans, so it's kind of nice to know that the universe does have a little balance to it. I also think kind of like Bo Nix going 12 to the Broncos.
Gets overshadowed, yes.
It gets overshadowed because Penix went 8 and above JJ McCarthy, which was its own subplot. So just a wild fucking night of the draft, all things considered. There was your typical stories. So Giants drafted Malik Neighbors. He had his pictures of his highlights inside his jacket. Love a receiver. He had shades on, highlights inside his jacket, and referred to himself in third person. Everything you want in an NFL NFL wide receiver. Love to see that. Anytime I see an LSU receiver like that, I think 3 people: Odell Beckham Jr., Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. That's basically the floor for him in my mind. Very healthy thing to go about it. Steve, who did the Bucs? I didn't even know who the Bucs took. I was running around that night.
Graham Barton. He played left tackle at Duke. He played center his freshman year. He's probably going to be a center for us. They came out and said that he'll be in the interior offensive line, most likely center. It's a position we need. It's not like a super sexy pick where you're like, yes, you're watching like a ton of highlights on this guy, but he got relative athletic scores, like how they grade out what type of athlete you are based on all your measurables and combine, pro day performance, that type of thing. He is like a 10 out of 10 for that center position. So I'm very hopeful. I listened to his interviews and stuff after, and he came across very well spoken, very intelligent. He did his 3-cone drill shirtless. Like I'm excited about Graham Barton. I think we had a really good draft, but I really like what the Bears did. I did my draft grades column. I gave out 2 A+. It was the Bears and the Steelers. I thought the Steelers addressed like pretty much everyone of your needs. There are some people like, don't draft for need, will get you fired. That is the case if you draft wrong. So I don't buy into that a ton. So the Raiders didn't draft for need. They drafted Brock Bowers a year after they drafted a tight end in the 2nd round. So.
Yeah.
A guy named Graham. That sounds like the draft analyst, draft prospect right there. You got a guy, a fucking offensive lineman. Yeah, exactly. Again, there's just so much. I'm gonna probably forget a lot of the stuff that happened during the draft. The David Tepper, the please let the coach and GM pick this year. There was at a bar. He apparently went in, told them to take it down, took the guy's hat off, which then happened to White Sox Dave. All-time fucking Barstool moment right there.
All-time clip.
I don't really even know like this Tepper, like, did they say Tepper didn't go in to like tell him to take it down? I kind of missed this story.
So on the Yak, we actually talked to a guy that was in that bar restaurant, and like zooming in on the footage, Tepper takes the guy's hat off. It's an eagle, like a Philadelphia Eagles hat. So okay. I hate the Panthers. I don't like David Tepper, but I actually kind of defend him here. I think it's more like hey, like, look at this. Like, this guy's an Eagles fan. Like, take that off. Like, we're in Panthers country. I think it was kind of like a friendly, and by the guy's accounts that was in the bar, it was kind of like a friendly exchange. Like, I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but he wasn't like, fuck you, like, who's the manager? Like, that type of thing.
That makes sense. Okay. And then Ed, I got to hear your thoughts on this one. Tony Khan wearing the neck brace, I think, for the entire draft in the Jags war room after he got pile driven on an AEW show. He owns AEW. He's the son of Shad Khan, right?
Yes.
Just wrestling guy, keeping the bit going. It's It's incredible. It's Andy Kaufman light. I'm not going to give anyone the Andy Kaufman nod there, but you had to love that as a wrestling guy,
You
right?
got to help the family portfolio. That's the way it is. You get some cross promotion. The NFL fans, why is that guy in a neck brace? Well, actually, check out AEW Live on Monday night. So it's like, I get it. I love it. Good stuff by the Khan family.
Yes, yes. And like with the Jags, it goes two ways. Like if it hits, if the pick hits, AEW hits, it's like, man, these guys just had the world by the balls. And if like these picks flop and AEW flops, it's like, look at these buffoons that were like running two multi-billion-dollar companies or whatever it is in like these massive entertainment industries. So yeah, that's basically about it. Is Caleb wearing 18? Is that official?
Yes, correct.
It's a good quarterback. Steve, you like that as a quarterback number, right?
I mean, obviously Peyton Manning, it's a little high, but
It is high.
I can get behind it.
Okay.
It looks like 13. The question is like Keenan Allen, I think he's got 1 year left in his deal. Does Caleb then switch to 13 once he's done?
It's a good question. A lot of people have to buy new jerseys to see how much they sold, like Fanatics out of stock. And
Well, typically what they'll do is they will you buy the team's like first round pick, and the number is just one, like the stock image.
no,
and they
I'm
pick
saying
it.
if he does switch it next year.
Oh,
like,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
you know what I
Typically
mean?
you have to buy it out, and then
Yeah.
that would
He
be
beat
quite
Caitlin
expensive.
Clark,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
the dude stepped up.
Yeah.
That dude's rock. Yeah, let's see. Anything else? Obviously, the receivers went off the board. Eagles did whatever they do. The guys who fell to them: Quinn Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. I guess I'll ask the draft expert. Was there anything else that was like a good, crazy? You saw the Florida State guys with the Rams. That was cool.
Yeah, that was probably the only other like super cool story where they drafted the Rams drafted Jared Verse, their first round pick since 2016. They drafted the edge rusher out of Florida State. So in the second round, they get defensive tackle guy that plays next to him, Braden Fisk. They brought Verse into the like war room to call Braden Fisk and be like, dude, we fucking made it. Now we're gonna do it together in LA. So that was kind of a cool moment.
Very cool. Oh, and Ed, Keon Coleman for the Bills. Did you see that? He had the chef's number of the Waffle House that he used to go to, and he started by eating some like the local grocery store Wegmans. He was chowing down on some cookies after his press conference. Revealed he buys his jackets from Macy's on sale during the summer. I feel like just a good Bills guy. The Bills receivers room has been a disaster. Obviously, Diggs has all his shit. Gabe Davis is fucking fantasy owners every other fucking week. It just feels good to have a Keon Coleman come in there and kind of change the vibes in Buffalo.
For
right?
sure. For sure. I like that.
So
Very cool
I'm just hoping for you Bears guys, man. I really am. I like you guys personally, and it's like at some point you just need to like hit, especially now that there's another boogeyman in Green Bay, right? So
We need it.
I guess we'll see. Changing gears here now. NBA playoffs going on. Got a lot of crazy stuff going on. We'll start off with this one.
Shout out
Your
to you.
New York Knicks take a 3-1 lead on the Philadelphia 76ers. Jalen Brunson, 47 points. Knicks franchise record in the playoffs in game 4 after a slow start the first 2 games of the series. John Rich, throw up a nice picture of the King of New York Jalen Brunson shirts we have on sale in the Barstool store now. Not only did the Knicks go down to Philadelphia and take over, Knicks fans went down to Philadelphia and took over. Had fuck Embiid chants going on at Wells Fargo. Taken down. They were putting Nick shit all over the Will Chamberlain statue outside, just acting absolutely reckless outside, and something I honestly didn't ever think Philadelphia would allow. Steven, fellow Knicks fan, give me your thoughts on all this.
Crazy, like incredible game. Watching the whole game through, I thought they were toast. Like, because Jalen Brunson was playing incredible, but nobody else really stepped. OG had a lot of OG Anunoby had I think he had 16 points, 14 boards, something like that. He was kind of the second guy, but after that, like nobody was scoring. Bojan Bogdanovic got hurt like a minute in, he sprained his ankle. So they had no real offensive production besides Brunson. But every time they needed a bucket, he came through. And there was an awesome moment where Joel Embiid, like on a switch, like they're hunting guys in the pick and roll, and Embiid comes out to take him, and Embiid's like firing the crowd up, like come on, and Brunson just makes this unreal move, going from left to right as a lefty against a great defensive center in Joel Embiid, and makes one of the most difficult 2-pointers you can imagine, like against his body, left-handed. It was incredible. Yeah, the best playoff game in Knicks history.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that felt very much like a Ewing performance where it would be Ewing have 47 or 40 something, and then like Oakley would have 15, and then no one else would have, double digits.
Yeah.
Kind of played out like that. I can't believe Philly got invaded, and we had the stream on Sunday. We had the live stream, and Smitty was saying like people were getting like 5 times their what they paid on like the secondary market and all that stuff, and it's an hour ride away. I always thought Philly was one of those towns that could not be like penetrated. And I know like it's a mix of Knicks fans just want to like cheer on their team. We have been waiting for a team like this for years. This is the third year they're in the playoffs. Brunson is like all NBA quality, and we feel like we could beat the Sixers. And the Sixers have just let that fan base down so many times. But there is like a fan base pride. I don't think the Garden ever has that happen during like when you're an actual legit, playoff team. So Ed, like you're like a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. Like you don't see that coming from the Philly fans of all people, right?
No, and like it kind of was a weird thing. Well, not a weird thing. It was definitely deserved. The Eagles got their Super Bowl, and they've had success across all 4 sports. But there was like a weird thing where like it felt like Philly fans turned into like the popular fans too. Everyone's like, oh, like I love what they're doing. Like they're the cocky assholes. Like they own it. Like whatever. So yeah, this is obviously not the best look. Like how can you say that?
I mean,
I
this
think
is
I'd
like
agree.
it's not even like after the game. It's like during the game, like Jalen Brunson's getting MVP chance at the line, which is something like when the Knicks were very bad and like Kobe Bryant would come to the Garden or like LeBron, like you'd hear that, but that's like kind of like fans appreciating basketball. It's like our team fucking sucks, but like you're awesome. And then like, some Lakers fans or Cavs fans or whatever would come in, but it was never like overwhelming to the point of like, holy shit, like we don't like this is our building. And Embiid called it like disappointing after that. It's hard to be like, yeah, because I had season tickets and we would just sell them on the secondary market a lot. And you don't know who's buying them. But if you're getting, 5x your money, it's hard to argue with the fan selling it. But also, like, Knicks fans are probably still getting them at a discount that they would at just going to MSG because that's such a hot ticket right now, the mecca of basketball. So it should be interesting. Hopefully, the Knicks can close it on 5. But if it does go to 6, that'll play a factor.
Yeah, I remember last season they said it was cheaper to get tickets in Cleveland for the Knicks Cavs game with a flight and a hotel stay than to just get a regular ticket at MSG for those games, like the same series. And it is just like it's just New York and the crushing prices we have here, and also like the rabid fan base. It's like the two sides of Philly though. Like I don't think we want to see like those stories where the guy would like make himself puke on a little kid during a fucking baseball game, a playoff game, because she's a rival fan. Cliff Lee's like wife getting assaulted with mustard packets and shit like that, or like people getting knocked out in the Link parking lot versus, getting your building taken over by obnoxious New Yorkers. I feel like there has to be a middle ground, but Philly, it's really one way or the other. And you said it, Jay. Tuesday night, game 5, Joel Embiid will have the heat brought on him because that game 3, I've heard, Embiid's dirty, this and that. I never really did the research on it or like, counted all the stuff. He has, what is it? He has more technicals than Draymond Green in his career, despite playing 481 less games. Flagrant, excuse me. And it's just one of those wild things. And then he put together like a full-blown like NFL draft highlight reel of hits that he had on Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein, and OG. He threw his hip at OG. So dirty player Joel Embiid had no clue he was this bad.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking because he could have gotten thrown out. I didn't see it live. We were taping the NFL draft show, but the Mitchell Robinson one the other night certainly could have been thrown out for. Then he knees Hartenstein in the balls. And then kicks, just straight up kicks Mitchell Robinson in the penis. Like going up for a jump shot. As the guy who's played basketball for a while, like that doesn't happen unless you're like trying to make it happen. And then this past game in game 4, he gives Brunson the dirty screen, steps on Josh Hart's leg. Like it is just adding up to be a little bit too much. And it's tough because I think he knows like NBA refs aren't going to kick out like a superstar. Like if Embiid gets kicked out of that game by the refs, the game is over.
Yeah.
So
it becomes
he's towing this line where it is like he should be kicked out and maybe even suspended for a game, but he knows they're not going to do that.
It becomes the most changed channel instantly.
Yes.
Like it'll be changed more than the TNT commercials, than like a movie, like you're watching Shawshank.
If I have to hear that, what a pro wants, what a pro needs one more time, I might just jump off. I can't do
Oh
it
my
anymore.
God, is that a bad commercial?
It's like it was bad the first time I heard it, and I like OKC. I think I now hate the Thunder just because their two stars are in that. Like I can't take it anymore. And it is like you watch enough of these games, you start to lose your mind. And I mean, the NBA has always been. I mean, even when we were kids, it was like, oh, they're going to extend this to 7. You know, Stern's going to get the Dick Bavette on the call or whoever, Hugh Rollins, just to like keep it extended. But LeBron's on by a thread. KD, as we're about to go into, is done. Steph Curry's out of the playoffs. We might be losing Embiid soon. Like Giannis could be cooked, and it's like you're losing all these stars, and it's like it's going to be hard for them to give Joel Embiid a flagrant 2 or 2 flagrant 1s, and he's kind of played like it. So Tuesday night at the Garden will be interesting. Real quick on this before we go to the next game, Shay, where do you see Embiid just on like this series alone in terms of like Nick villains or Madison Square Garden villains? Because he was a guy that like I think a lot of us were kind of whispering like if he asked for a trade, Leon Rose used to be his
Right. Yeah.
agent,
That's
maybe
the
he was
hard
the
part. Yeah.
guy. And it is kind of like I will still probably welcome with open arms if he ever did that down the road. But it's like he's always hurt, he's always gassed in the playoffs, the fourth quarter, and like he tried to like hurt 3 of our fucking guys, if not more than that.
Yeah, I actually don't blame him a lot for that fourth quarter. I mean, he didn't rest in the second half at all. Like he
Yeah.
typically is going to play, a full quarter or near a full quarter, then come in very. I would expect him to leave at like the 2-minute mark left in the third, come back to start the fourth, or maybe like 2 minutes in. But he played the whole time. He was obviously gas shouldering a lot of burden. But to answer your question, where does he rank among villains? I mean, you got Reggie Miller, of course, who's the top dog. Michael Jordan right up there. But then you got, more recently, Trae Young, who's kind of fallen from relevancy, but has a special thing when he plays in the Garden. And Embiid's like the guy in your division. I don't know, like playoff wise, because yeah, this has been really dirty. But to your point, like he's a guy where Knicks fans are like, please, can we get Embiid? Is there any chance that we could trade for him?
Yep.
So it's kind of a fine line. So I don't actually view him as that right now. I know like Knicks Muse and a bunch of other Knicks Twitter handles like hate this guy right now. But if this guy like demands a trade to the Knicks, like 100% of Knicks fans will be on board and sing this guy's praises. So it's a very awkward dance we're doing right now with him.
Yeah, it's weird. I will say like Reggie's one. Reggie is like, and you like tip your cap to Reggie because he was so fucking good and was so good at ripping our hearts out. Got his own no calls,
Yep.
8 points in 9 seconds or whatever. I think like I also Trae Young we tried to make into the new Reggie. He was not going to be that. Reggie is just better than him flat out. But yeah, I think Embiid is in a weird spot. I also think like those old Heat teams had like 6 guys who were unlikable, and everyone
Yes.
played like Embiid played in Game 3 because that's the way the '90s were. And it is kind of like a very much a we're being a little what's the word I'm looking for hypocritical considering like every '90s Nick we fucking praise was like
Right.
just as dirty. Like Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley said he would have smacked Embiid if that had happened when he was on the court, and I 100% believe him.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do a quick hit around the rest of the NBA. T-Wolves sweep the Suns 4-0. Anthony Edwards, I mean, most likable superstar in the NBA now. Like, I think so. Wembanyama or him. Is there anyone else that you could really think of that is like more universally like, oh, this is the next guy?
Oh, the next guy? No, I mean it's certainly those two. Like I was started likable superstars. I think Brunson's right up there. But
Curry is up there, right? For the most part, right?
yeah, but
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
he's old guard. Like people are
Yeah.
yeah,
getting over it.
Anthony Edwards. Yeah, I mean he has one of these like highlight poster dunks, seemingly at least one per game. So he's becoming like very much must see TV. He's also a really good defender. So he's
He's a
probably
throwback.
he's one of the best two-way
Yeah.
players in the NBA. And he's a youngster. Sweeping his idol Kevin Durant is wild. And the Suns going on 4 is I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with their team.
I'm so fucking happy. Fuck Durant. I haven't paid attention. This is the first time, no joke, I've paid attention to the NBA playoffs since Durant pulled his move. Like once
So
that
the-
happened,
Really?
once he did the war, I've been out. Like pretty much out besides like, the mediocre Bulls appearances that we get pop up once in a while. But yeah, I've been out. But
You
now
boycotted? You went boycott?
it's not that I boycott. I just wasn't interested.
Mhm.
I just genuinely lost interest. I mean, you went from like possibly a great trilogy, a great rivalry could have been the Warriors and the Cavs, and it just the flame burned out so fast because of what he
Right.
did, and it just then COVID happened. It's just, I don't know, everything just burned out on me. So I'm happy he's out. Don't care what, I mean, I feel bad for Suns fans. I have nothing against the Suns in particular, but I'm happy with where the playoffs has gone.
Yeah,
And-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Steve. You go, Steve.
I'm curious to see where the Suns go from here because they traded for Durant last year. Then there's a new CBA, and they're over like the second apron, so they really can't make any moves. Bradley Beal has a no trade clause in his contract. Their moves is they can trade Durant or they can trade Devin Booker if they want to get better or just run this team back essentially. There, did you see the tweet from NBA Central, the Stephen A quote about Devin Booker today? It was like, I haven't talked to Devin, or Devin Booker will deny this if you ask him about it. And I haven't talked to him personally, but Devin Booker wants to join the New York Knicks. Stephen A. Smith is a New York Knicks fan. Just an all-time way to start a tweet or to start a quote.
Yeah, just like get those fucking clicks, those views, whatever it may be. It was hilarious. He just basically said, I'm just making this shit up. It makes sense that he would want to do it. And like us Knicks fans, again, we eat the slop even when we have a good team with a likable superstar. It's like, well, I was kind of holding out for Giannis, and I guess if Embiid's gonna come, we can do that. But if Devin Booker, like, we'll take him, and we have like a perfectly good team that's alive in the playoffs and one game away from elimination. Anthony Edwards. I felt this way about LeBron in his early days when he was with the Cavs. It's just so nice to have such a good, awesome, likable superstar that is like, I grew up hating Jordan because he ruined my fucking spring every year as a Knicks fan. And it's just so nice. And then obviously LeBron went to the Heat, which was like my most hated team. So that fucking sucked. So I'm just hoping Anthony Edwards either stays in Minnesota or like comes to New York down the road. But other than that, like, just don't do anything stupid. Eddie, did you see he did the DX suck it after they won the game the other night? Like, this guy has it all. He really does.
Love it.
They compare him to Jordan. Like he gets the like I don't want to say it, but he reminds you of young Jordan. And he's honestly the only guy you could say that about since maybe Dwayne Wade back in the day. And I'm right there with it. It's Wade, Jordan, Kobe. Like those are those kind of shooting guards that like brought the athletic Heat. Let's see here. Dallas, the Mavs Clippers is kind of a weird series. Every time Kawhi doesn't play, the Clippers win. Every time he doesn't. Kyrie actually being good again is awesome. That layup he had yesterday was out of this fucking world. Steve, you're knee deep in the NBA. What's your take on this series, or if you want to throw in Pacers, Bucks, since the Bucks are basically the Walking Dead at this point?
Yeah, the Bucks are toast. Dame hurt, Giannis. I would be surprised if he comes back. That series is done. Clippers Mavs is an awesome series because without Kawhi, the Clippers are 2-0 and they're shooting like a bajillion percent. Like they are the most on fire team without Kawhi. But then when Kawhi comes back, they're trying to integrate him in. He didn't really have his legs under him. They tried to play with him in game 3. It didn't work out great, so they shut him down. And now he's out indefinitely. I'd be surprised if he comes back this series. It's a 3-game series. Luka's also a little bit dinged up. He hurt his knee in game 3. Played with him in game 4, was like a little bit stiff, and he was questionable going into it. They have an extra rest day going into game 5, so I expect them to be like pretty much a full go and feeling a lot better. But I mean, the Clippers are playing really good ball right now, but I do like Dallas. I do like Kyrie's playing out of his mind. And then, Luka Magic. He's the Magic Man. He's going to be great. So I like Dallas. They play great defense. I expect them to advance, but it's an interesting series. Have you been keeping up with the series, Eddie?
Yeah. I mean, like we said, the credit where credit's due. Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Is back to old Kyrie Irving. He hasn't really said anything much off the court to like get him in trouble. And what did he drop? 40 the other night?
40.
Harden looks great. I know there was like people, maybe he's got a little motivation leaving. I don't know, but it's a really fun series. It's interesting that like defensively, Luka, like it kind of seems like they're just picking on him the whole time. And it's
last game he was hurt. The game before that was maybe one of the best defensive performances by a wing in recent memory.
Fair.
I think that team they're like 0 for 11 against them.
But this was the most. This is the series I wanted to see the most, and I'm happy that it seems it's delivering. So,
Luka does feel like when Jokic reached that point where it's like, look, you're gonna have to cut out the cigarettes and the heavy meats and stuff like. I feel like Luka's gonna get to that point maybe after this playoff run. Ed, this is kind of a sweet fucking series for you because this is kind of the Durant Bowl, right? It's Kyrie versus Harden. This was part of the fucking Nets, triumvirate, and he's already home for the playoffs. So, and one of those
Yep.
guys is going to make it to the second round. So that doesn't
Yep.
feel pretty good with Eddie's the fire of rage of Eddie I never met anyone who actually stopped watching because of that move. And now I do. I had no clue.
And it wasn't because like I said, it wasn't out of protest. It's just like it generally they were so good. He joined a 73-9 team. Like there was no intrigue left for me.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's
it
fair.
should be very interesting. A storyline to watch, obviously, is if they split the next 2 games and it goes to 7. What kind of James Harden showing up for Game 7 of the playoffs? He's been a notorious choker in those situations, but maybe he's turned a corner.
Yeah, I do feel like he's inevitable at some point. Bad
Right.
James Harden is coming out, but I guess we'll see. We'll do the quick little Puck Boys segment here to run through the NHL playoffs. Give me one take you have from the NHL playoffs, starting with you, Ed. I mean, you're a Puck guy. I imagine Blackhawks obviously were good for a while there. So
here's the thing with Caleb Williams going on and me buying back into the NBA playoffs this year, I have neglected the shit out of the NHL playoffs. Unfortunately, sounds like I haven't missed much because it seems like most series are in a 3-1. I know the Rangers swept. I think the Knights are up 2-1, but they play tonight. Looking to get forward, catch back on here in the second round, but seems like I haven't missed a ton, unless if I'm wrong. But I'll be there following along in the second round.
Stevie X,
Yes.
the best gambler of all time, undefeated, only plus money winners, NHL props, retired until there's another NBA off night. I think the maybe the video of the year is from our guy Taylor Lewan on the jumbotron with his daughter chugging the water.
Yeah,
that's an all-time video. He shows up to the Preds games, obviously a Titans legend, chugging a beer on the jumbotron, which he always does when they show him. But then he's got his daughter, who's, I don't know, 7 or 8 next to him, and she starts chugging the water. The crowd goes nuts. And then he holds her up at the end. That's very, very cool moment.
mm-hmm.
I'm with you. My one takeaway is another video from the Dave Portnoy's Murray Band of Misfits here. Frankie Borelli every single year just delivers in the playoffs, and him at Borelli's. It starts with his dad, who obviously had the heart, surgery, and he has the heart pillow. He's holding on to it. He's trying to keep his sanity and not to go too crazy. Leaves up 3-1, I believe. And then somehow, I still don't know how the Islanders lost that game. I think I read somewhere that the Hurricanes, it was 3-2. Hurricanes tie it. They're all deflated. That Cena Bros we've seen a million times. But then I think they were showing the replay of the goal, and then in that time they scored again. And Frankie is the nicest, most normal human being when you just talk to him. And then when he becomes an Islanders fan, he hits another level. And the way he was just what happened? And people were fucking dumbfounded. It was an all-time great clip. I have no real feelings about the Islanders either way, but it always is a fucking must-watch event every time they play. So that's incredible. Game 5 for them, I believe, is Tuesday night as well, right? I think they're still alive in the series. So
him looking over his shoulder, that was so funny. Like somebody from behind him just scored the goal.
Was that you? Jim? Did
Yeah.
you just shoot that in there? Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, officially a sanctioned professional fight. I saw this and I was I don't know if this really means anything, because does this mean Mike Tyson is going to try harder? I don't think he's going to try harder, because probably going to be his last fight no matter what. It's going to be 8 2-minute rounds, 14-ounce gloves, no headgear, and knockouts will be allowed. I actually wish it was no rules, no boxing, and just a street fight in the ring. Hardcore rules. We're going old school WWE style. That would have got my interest. This actually makes it feel a little more professional. So I just think it's gonna be a little more grabbing, tiring. He's a 53-year-old man. Steve, you have any takes on this?
This is disgusting. Is Mike Tyson out of money? Why is this happening? This is horrible. You're a 53-year-old guy. I don't care who it is, let alone Mike Tyson, who's been awful for decades. This guy was great in the 90s, one of the best fighters of all time. But ever since he fought Lennox Lewis or even Evander Holyfield, in the late 90s, early 2000s, he has been horrible. The fact that he's 53 years old, they're going to trot him out there to fight Jake Paul, who, I know he's a kind of internet celebrity, but he does box, right? He is an actual dude. He's going to kick the shit out of Mike Tyson.
Ed, are you into these fights? Are you into the YouTubers and all that kind of stuff? I usually end up watching them, but I don't really know much about a lot of them, to be honest with you.
I watched a good handful of them. Jake Paul kind of has lost a little steam for me because when he lost to Tommy Fury, and then I think it was the rematch before that he did with is it Lawler? Robbie Lawler, I think. I don't know who am I don't know who I'm blanking on. But they kind of lost steam after he lost, and he just, but now, I mean, Tyson, you're gonna watch. Like, that's just the fact. It makes
53-year-old Mike Tyson, you're gonna watch that?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. Especially if it's on Netflix.
It's on
You know,
Netflix.
it's
Yeah.
on Netflix. Yep, July 20th on Netflix. And it's going to be on live, obviously, which I don't think you have to buy like an extra tier, right? Like it's just going to be including your
I
subscription.
don't know. It's a good
I
question.
mean, do you remember what happened the last time Netflix tried to do a live thing? Love is Blind season 4 finale,
It was
just
a
a complete
disaster.
disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster. The post show.
So I will say though, it makes me happy and sad. It makes me happy that this means it matters that it goes against their official records. So that means, like, I mean, that counts for something, I'm sure, from Iron Mike deep down, But it makes me sad that when I go to Wikipedia, his last fight will be 2024. You know what I mean? Because how many times we pull up boxers Wikipedia, we go straight to their records and see the win loss. So, but
Yeah, you look for the red, right? And you're like, oh, where's the red? There it is. There it is. Evander Holyfield, blah, blah, blah. Jake fucking Paul. You know what it is? Like you said it. It's not good, but it's something you're going to watch. My buddy, he'd be like, I was watching on YouTube the other day. I was like, what he says? I was watching trains running over animals. And it's when trains are just like on the tracks and an animal doesn't know it's a train. And I'm like, that's fucked up, dude. But then I'm like, I can understand why someone would like pique their interest. It's not for me personally, but this is kind of like the boxing version of that, I suppose. 53-year-old Mike. And I wonder, does this mean you can't do steroids? Because that I feel like hurts Jake Paul. It might actually hurt both of them, right? At this point, you just
good
going Smitty
question.
route.
I don't know.
All right. Last one that I think we could all agree on. Thousands of people gathered in New York City to watch a man eat a giant jar of cheese balls. 22-year-old man in an orange mask went viral for putting up flyers over week saying on April 27th he was going to eat a giant jug of cheese balls. On the flyer, he's holding this massive jug, something maybe find at a Costco or something. But when it came down to it, he was buying something that like probably get like, I don't know, like a dozen bag lunches from. It's just a little small, little baby fucking cheese balls container there. Ed, give me your thoughts on this cheese balls mask man.
Clem, I don't respect people who don't buy the biggest tub of cheese balls in general. Let alone if you advertise to me that that's the one you're going to be eating, you're a scumbag. This guy's a scumbag. You can't do that. You know what I mean? Those big cheese balls also shouldn't come in those containers. It should be one size, and they should be the big container. That's it. No,
You can't get a little bag of cheese balls, right? You can only get one that is,
yes,
96 ounces. I'm 100% with you. The little jar that he eats out of, you can almost get like a regular bag and put them in a bag, right? Like, why would those even come in
truly
jug
despicable.
form? Yeah, this is not Team ZD disavows this man. Complete disavow. Rebuke. We rebuke him. Steve, what is your thoughts on this?
I love the marketing for this. This guy put up flyers everywhere that he's going to do this at this date and this time and somewhere in Union Square Park in New York City. But the fact that he shows up like just a complete bait and switch, like not even an apologetic, like it wasn't like he was like, oh, this is the only kind they had at the store and he ran out of time. Like he just tried to pull one over on everybody, saying and eating out of the smaller one. I mean, if you are so confident in your cheese ball eating abilities that you're advertising that you want to eat a giant one in front of dozens, hundreds of people and are gonna make this a story for news outlets and social media, you gotta be able to do it. Like, did this guy get stage fright and be like, oh man, I honestly don't think I can eat that whole thing? Then why'd you advertise? Like, I feel like if you're a cheese balls guy, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not a crazy feat. Like, you could do that if you trained or push yourself to do that. Am I wrong?
Che, I've been around these buckets of cheese balls a lot of time in my day.
Yeah.
There's times where, and you, Clem, I think you can attest to this. You're a cheese ball guy, right?
Big. Oh, I've never met someone who isn't, to be honest with you.
There's times where you feel like you've like you haven't stopped eating them for hours, and you could be like at the rim. They are kind of endless, Clem. Like that. I think it's actually kind of hard.
It's the Simpsons throwing Barney out of Moe's bar. Like, it just keeps coming back. You're like, I thought I ate all these fucking cheese balls. This is the problem here, and I'm maybe like I hate talking so much about this guy because he fills me with such venomous rage. if I was like younger and a man without a family, I can't be eating a jug of cheese balls. I almost just want to go down to fucking Union Square and just eat a jug of cheese and like do it the right way. Like it's spitting in the snack god's face. It's spitting in America's face. These poor like Gen Zers, they have nothing to believe in anymore. Their entire lives, they're promised fucking white picket fence American dream, and then they're getting a fucking 12-ounce jug of cheese balls that anyone in fucking Barstool could eat. It's disgusting. I feel, and I want to. He says he wants to run for president when he's of age. Like that is a politician move. Promise you the world and give you absolutely nothing. Bullshit. Fuck cheese balls, man.
You got to do that. I mean, I know you don't live that close to the city, but like, you got to do that. You can do that. That would be a huge story.
When the Knicks win if the Knicks win the NBA championship, I will eat a jug of cheese balls. Is that fair? A legitimate jug of cheese balls. Put it on the rundown, April 29th. If the Knicks win the 2024 NBA championship, I will, at the end of the parade, eat that jug of cheese balls. All right? It's on the fucking record now. I do not feel good about that. I have to I just had my physical, there's some numbers where like we have to, I'm just not feeling good, but you know what? It has to be done. So, all right. So that's the rundown. We'll see you guys. I don't know. Next time this crew is together, good crew, good sports day, and hopefully more of it in the future.